Rogue One, a Star Wars story. So Rogue One is directed by Gareth Edwards, and it's essentially a part of the Star Wars franchise, and it's sort of a prequel to Episode 4 because it ties in Episode 3 to Episode 4, but it's more right before Episode 4. Like I'm talking about, like probably like the
right before it starts.
Yeah, right before it
Episode
starts.
4 starts.
That's where Rogue One leaves off. So Rogue One has to do. It's focused on the rebels and their plans on. Their action on getting the plans for the Death Star, which initially what is Episode 4 tells us all about how they got the plans for the Death Star and in order to find a weakness to destroy it. This is the movie that shows us how they got those plans and pretty much what they went through. We're introduced to a lot of the characters in this movie. We don't really get much depth in all the characters, so you're not really invested too much in all of them, except for like Jyn Erso, played by Felicity Jones, who's actually main protagonist in this movie. She's actually not really a rebel. She gets to become a rebel because of her father. Jyn Erso works with the rebels because of who her father is, and pretty much they were trying to pursue her because her father is working with Imperial forces with the Death Star. But like I said, a lot of the characters, except for her and except for I guess Diego Luna, the character he plays, we kind of get a little invested in him, even though we don't really get to see or hear about his backstory, although he kind of mentions it.
Yeah,
really. But we're not really invested in all the characters except for Jyn Erso. But you do feel a connection with them.
Yeah, because they do try to show you what kind of people they are.
Yeah, but there were so many characters, so you start every other scene in the beginning, like in the first hour, you get to learn about new characters. They're being introduced.
Yeah, the only things I explain about them are very brief.
Yeah, not to say that was a bad thing, but if that's what they wanted to do, introduce a lot of characters that were involved in this. Of course, they didn't have time to show us the backstory between all of them. It still worked well with what they were trying to do and working together. There was a lot of fan service in this Rogue One. I didn't expect to see a lot of past characters from other Star Wars universe in this movie because I really didn't think they had anything to do with the plan in this movie. But you do get a little bit of sense of fan fiction. I'm not gonna say who specifically, but you do get some of that in there. Do get a little bit of Darth Vader in there.
Yeah, you don't get a lot of it, but what you do get is pretty good. It's funny.
It's pretty exciting. You don't get it. Yeah, you get pretty much the bare minimum of Darth Vader, but.
And I feel like most people already assumed that he wasn't really gonna be in it that much.
Exactly. This isn't really a Jedi movie. It's more about the rebels. Although they do mention the Force in this movie, it's more about Force believers than actually people who are Force sensitive.
There is another surprise character. Most people I don't think knew that he was gonna be in it, but
there was speculation.
But once you see who it is, he's actually throughout the movie quite a bit, and he's a really good character.
Yeah, it works well. Which goes to what I liked about this movie. It kind of does tie in some of the plot holes from going into Episode 4. I really didn't think this movie was overall needed, like in answering the questions and how they get the Death Star plans. Star Wars is pretty much full of stories that they mention within the movies that we don't get to see. Like every movie of Star Wars mentions something that happens in their lives, but we never get to see in any of the other movies, because the Star Wars universe is pretty much so big. There's so many stories you can show.
They do a good job in showing you that there is a universe, a galaxy. You get me? Like they show like the city.
Exactly. Yeah, that's one thing that we didn't. I don't think we see it in every other Star Wars movies. Every planet they go to, they say on the bottom what the name of it was.
Well, they had it in Rogue One, but what I mean mainly not in Rogue One, in Episode 7.
Oh, well, yeah. That's good. It kind of organizes it a little better into seeing how big the galaxy is.
But what I mean is, like, visually, you actually see them in there. It's more like, unlike like they show the city in the prequels, but they don't do a good job of it, like really showing you that there's a world out there.
Exactly. Yeah. Because it's all how big the galaxy is.
Yeah.
We still get quite a few images of the Death Star, which is pretty cool. Get to see more Death Star in action, and we know we're pretty much used to Death Stars. Some of the flaws in this movie, I would say is the first hour or so, learning about the new characters and kind of it's going up, it's going to this point of them actually going to get the plans, and it's going. Then you see the awesome action at the end. You see what you like to see in Star Wars. You see space battles, and you see that war going on, and it's going and it's exciting. And then kind of, now I wouldn't say it's an abrupt ending, but for what they were trying to do, I think it kind of worked well into that to be continued sort of thing into episode 4. But as a standalone film, because that's what it was said it was a standalone film. It didn't really seem like a standalone film. It just seemed like a something you would need to see for episode 4 to go in there.
Like previously on Star Wars.
Exactly. Yeah, it's more like a previously seen on Star Wars. So as a standalone film, I wouldn't call it a standalone film. I'd call it an actual. It does welcome you into. It does feel like it's welcomed into the Star Wars franchise and the Skywalker family and all the episodes.
So one thing about the movie that I noticed is that although the action, like the real war stuff, happens later on in the movie, throughout the movie you really don't get a lot of downtime. Like everything is just happening and happening like back to back, and it's all building up for like the main fight.
Another character that was pretty cool was what's his name? Alan Tudyk? Is that how you say it? Alan Tudyk, who plays so. KS-20, which is an Imperial droid that they actually reprogrammed to use for their use, and he was pretty funny. I mean, everything he said, people were laughing in the theater.
Yeah,
a little bit too loud.
It was almost like the only like comedy.
Yeah, it was the comedic relief that he would add in there. So I thought it was a good
really
character.
Good,
yeah. Who else we got in here? What do you think of Donnie Yen's character?
I thought he was cool, but I wish they would have shown more of like him, because he's an action actor, you know, like fighting and stuff.
Yeah,
and
you get some of that. You saw that in the trailer. You saw some hand-to-hand combat from Donnie Yen, which is I would have wanted more from him, a little bit more, but still a good character. Like I said, you get a little bit invested into all these, not too much. Overall, I'd say definitely go watch it. If you're a Star Wars fan, you're gonna love it. If you're this is weird. As I was finished watching it, I was thinking, I was like, what order would you, like, people in the, like your kids or like your grandkids, if you were gonna show them Star Wars, in which order would you show them?
All the movies?
Yeah, all the movies. Well, the movies we have now, including.
I feel I would start with 4.
Were you gonna start with Rogue One?
I don't think so.
Nah. Yeah, I wouldn't start with.
Cause I feel like it's a cool.
I'd maybe
story,
show them
like,
Rogue One right after episode 4, or maybe after the original trilogy.
That actually would, like, I actually wouldn't mind this one being right after 4.
Right after 4, yeah.
Because it's a cool way of being like, yeah, look, that's how they got the.
Yeah, I'll probably have a different answer once all the movies come out, but yeah, I'm really excited for the other standalone movie films, the Han Solo one, and there's another one, but there hasn't been any more information on the third standalone film. But I definitely would say go watch it. After we watched it, I know we've definitely wanted to watch it again. We probably will, and after that, we're gonna have pretty much a more in depth. Even though this video is pretty long, I'm gonna actually go more in depth of it.
Spoilers.
With spoilers in it. Yeah. So yeah, overall, great movie, great visuals, great action. You have characters that you're somewhat invested in, not too much, but for what it wanted to do, I think it was the right amount of investment that you needed in the characters. It has its ups and it has its downs and it has its comedic reliefs, which is what we all want in a serious, when it's serious.
I actually didn't expect there to be like
that comedic relief. The comedic relief is a little dark as well. It's not like C-3PO. It's more like, darker than that.
Yeah, like,
which we can appreciate. Oh, one thing we like to mention: the classic title call is not in this movie. I wouldn't call that a spoiler, but just for a warning, because I was really expecting it. I was at least expecting the John Williams music and something, but no.
Or like or something different that they would use as a template for these type of movies, but there wasn't any. Yeah,
you do get in the galaxy a long time ago, in the galaxy far away thing, which and then which kind of blue balled me because I really thought the John Williams music was gonna come up.
Me too. Yeah, I was waiting for it. It also does start in space, like all the other movies.
Yeah,
with like a spaceship.
Classic space intro.
That's the only spoilers you get.
So tune into our next video. That'll be a spoiler
full,
enriched in spoiler movie review. And if you've seen Rogue One, let us know what you thought about it in the comments below. I'd say hell yeah, go watch it. And yeah, hope you enjoyed this video. Give us a thumbs up,
Subscribe,
comment,
and share.
See you.